Hey, welcome for joining me on the On-Call Empath show. I'm Rajmontage. I created this podcast for all the empaths and highly sensitive people out there that want to find a safe space where they can come to and know that they're not alone. Each week, you can expect an expert guest to share their knowledge and expertise. So come with me on my journey and let's grow together. And remember, you're never alone. You're listening to the On-Call Empath show. Hey, this is Rajmontage coming at you from the On-Call Empath. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you can, kindly just share this video, subscribe, and like. It would definitely help me out. Spread the word. Also, check out my podcast, the On-Call Empath. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I want to talk to you guys about something I feel like a lot of people are going through, not just during the holidays, but just all the time. And I'm here to tell you that if you're not feeling it, and you have a hard time maybe being alone, even when you're surrounded by people, um, you're definitely not alone on this, because I've talked to so many of my clients who feel like even when they go to these festivities, they're laughing, they're joking with people. Deep down inside, they are feeling lonely. They don't feel connected. Now, there is the other type of person who just doesn't go to any of these festivities and just finds it really challenging to be around people. Even if you're listening to this, you're an introvert, an empath, highly sensitive person, you can definitely get a lot out of this. I'm going to go over 5 things that you can do to kind of lessen the blow, make this holiday season go a little smoother, but more importantly, you can use this way after. So if you are always alone and you have no problems being alone and you choose to be alone, that's great. But as humans, there's just so much time that we can be alone, and we are social beings. So even if you have that one friend, that one go-to, um, I would highly recommend reaching out to that person. But if you're constantly alone and you prefer that way and you have no problems and it doesn't affect your life, then more power to you, because most of the people that I talk to, they need people, and sometimes people, the only way they can cope is to isolate themselves, and then that leads to darker thoughts, depression, anxiety, addiction. So the next thing I want to make sure that I distinguish between feeling alone and actually being alone. So feeling alone is, you feel like there's a lack. There's something that you're missing out on. Everyone else seems to be having fun all around you. You see it on social media, you see all the families, you see all the people smiling, drinking, traveling, hustle and bustle, and here you are, looking at these pictures, scrolling, and just feeling even worse and drowning yourself in your own isolation. The other thing is, if you're alone and you just prefer not to partake in anything and you're perfectly fine, then there should be no problems. So I just wanted to distinguish between the two, between feeling lonely and being alone. I mean, I'll be honest, sometimes I actually feel better and recharged being alone, and I can go for weeks without going out, talking to people. I know that, mentally I've worked myself up to that level where I don't need to rely on too many people. I still have that one or two go-tos, but I make sure, like, I plan out my day, and I know that if I do start feeling a little down, I'll go out. I'll try to keep myself occupied, but I won't try to overwork myself, because that can come back and bite you in the behind as well. If you try to cover it up by overworking, uh, overextending, people pleasing, taking on more tasks than you normally should, especially like during the holidays when people ask you to bring stuff or be in charge of certain things. You want to basically plan and take over everything, thinking that you're going to over help, but then it ends up, you know, just not working out for many people. So just be careful of that. I'm going to give you 2 scenarios and see if you can resonate with this. The first one is that you're at a holiday party. You're sitting there you know, having fun, having a couple drinks, you're laughing, you're smiling, you have your family there. However, there's something deep inside that just doesn't feel right, and you just feel alone. And the only thing you can think about is just leaving, or you just tolerate it. You just try to make the best out of it, and you don't tell anyone. And that is normal. Given the fact of maybe you have a history of possibly abuse, narcissist abuse, trauma bond, um, being alone in childhood. These are some of the things that may trigger, especially during the holiday season. So it is normal to feel these things. So that's the first thing I want to let you guys know, that feeling these thoughts, trying to run away from them, trying not to think about it, it's just going to come back even stronger. So identify for what it is. You were hurt. If it becomes something that happens all the time, where you go out and you don't want to be there, you're always down, you're feeling like a lack, and that's a big issue that you have to work on. It takes practice. Now, the second scenario is you have all these obligations. You have a lot of people inviting you to go places, but you say no to all of them. You don't do any of them. You just stay at home, shut the door, and you kind of sulk. Um, and I know a lot of people do this. And even if it's not to the extent of just not doing anything, a lot of people will binge eat, addiction. They'll do whatever they have to do to not think in the fact that they're alone. That something that to cover it up so it doesn't hurt as much, because when you're alone and you're really feeling like isolated, it's going to feel like death. I mean, it's going to feel like the walls are closing in. For some people, you get anxiety, panic, and the list goes on. Now, maybe you're listening to this and maybe you don't have any of that. And you're saying to me, like, hey, I actually prefer being alone. That is totally different. That is something that is powerful. That is something that can be used to help you, just in life. Because if you can be alone, I look at that as a very effective person, because I know when I'm alone, I get a lot done, but I know my limits. I know when I need to now, I've been alone for this time. Now I got to go out and, be in society. I need to go to a coffee shop, see people, so on and so forth. But there are still a lot of people that just don't need anyone, and they're just fine. And there's nothing wrong with that either. But just be honest with yourself. That's what I'm trying to say. Be honest with who you are. If you know that you need your family or friends around, but you don't really want to be around them, there's something underlying going on. And during the holidays, it gets even worse. It all comes out. And then when we go through social media and we start scrolling and we start seeing these things, it triggers something in our brain saying, like, look at these people are all having fun. I should be having fun, but I'm not feeling it. I'm here to tell you, you're not alone. What what do you think's going to happen, especially after a traumatic childhood or abusive relationship, or you're maybe in a trauma bond where when you're away from someone, you're feeling withdrawal symptoms. Of course, you're going to do whatever it takes to cope. The mind is so powerful. It's going to protect you, and it's going to kind of feel like a withdrawal when you're away from someone. So even if most of your life you went through trauma, abuse, childhood abuse, anything that you went through that was horrific, it's not just going to go erase just because now you're adult and you have obligations, you have maybe a family. It doesn't mean like all that stuff is just going to erase overnight. That's going to take a lot of time and effort, and the main word here is effort. A lot of people that choose not to put the effort to look at themselves in the mirror and say, look, I was done wrong. I was abused, or I went through a bad experience, and I haven't dealt with that. So of course you're going to feel alone at a major event or a Christmas party or whatnot. But more importantly, we have to kind of step back and look at what is really going on underneath everything. So before I go into these five steps to kind of make things a little bit easier for you guys, especially the empaths, I need you guys to keep in mind that, instead of trying to run away from the issue or trying to say like, no, I'm fine. I just need, I'll be fine tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and you're not. And it just kind of keeps cycling. And then this keeps happening every holiday, maybe not every holiday, but every time you go out, even. I want you to embrace the fact that there's a power in actually being by yourself. And I think a lot of people just can't stand the silence and being alone and facing their own fears, because maybe like growing up as a child you didn't have anyone. Maybe you were alone in a room and you didn't have anyone to talk to, and that frightens you. And I'm here to tell you that's okay. But we have to kind of you have to look at that and say, how do I get over this? Because if you're talking years, decades of abuse, it's going to take that a very long time to start healing and facing, your true fears. So just keep that in mind. I'm just going to go over these five ways that, that kind of helps a lot of my clients. Again, this is something that I came up with. However, you might find some things that might work that may be better, and that's fine too. But these are just some of the things that like I incorporate with a lot of my clients, and they seem to give me good feedback on it. So let's go ahead and get started. There's a saying that says an idle mind is the most dangerous thing. So that means like if you have nothing planned, you're just kind of going off the cusp of your life. It's like a sail, like you're setting sail without any destination. There's no navigation. And you're just kind of going out to sea and just hoping for the best. But I guarantee you there is going to be choppy waters. There is going to be time when you're going to be lost in the dark, in the dead night of the ocean, when it's pouring rain. And so what do you do? That's my question to all of you guys, especially when you're alone by yourself, whether you're, around people or not. You're basically in the middle of the ocean by yourself without anyone around, and that is what people run from. That's the worst feeling in the world, feeling helpless with no help, no 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 other boats around you that's able to help you. And so I'm here to tell you, in order to avoid that, we have to have a destination, and that starts with a solid plan. So number 1 is having a solid plan, whether it's, planning a day or two ahead before a holiday event, or even something even greater. Even maybe you're not even in the holiday season and you know that you're going to be alone. What are you going to do when you're maybe in your hotel? Are you just going to sit there, feel lonely, binge watch TV, and then just kind of feel sorry for yourself and then start feeling like this overwhelm? Or are you going to plan out exactly hour by hour what you're going to do? And it is a lot of work for a lot of people. So keep this in mind. Don't wait till last minute to make these plans. Write down these plans. And I'm telling you guys, and I tell this to my clients over and over, when you have a map of and a plan on what you're going to do point by point, that it's going to be that much easier for you guys, and most likely it's not going to hit as hard as being alone, especially during the holidays. By the way, making a plan is year round. It's not just for the holidays. I always, before I go to bed, I make a plan of the next day, what I'm going to do by hour. So maybe I'll do a podcast, then I'll meet with a friend, then I'll go ahead, finish up some editing, and then in the evening I'll go do some workout, and then I'll eat dinner. And so I have it all planned out so I can look at it and say, this is what I'm going to do. So this is a good way of keeping track. And I'm telling you, it's not reinventing the wheel or anything. It's very simple. You just get a notebook and you write down what you're going to do. So let's say you're going to a Christmas party and you don't want to go. well, what are you going to do for that night? Are you going to just feel like lonely? Because every time that there's going to be an event and you just decide not to go, you can't just sit there and really not have a plan in place. So keep that in mind. Always have a plan. So number two is I want you guys to kind of go easy on yourself. Most other people around you cannot fathom what you may have gone through in childhood, maybe with abuse or even with a narcissist growing up, in a past relationship, or the stress of being a single parent, having kids. All these things play a significant role because it's like weight on your shoulders. So I want you to talk to yourself like you would talk to a friend. And when you do feel lonely, I don't want you to, put yourself down and say, what kind of person am I? I shouldn't be feeling these thoughts. I should be out. I should be, having fun like everyone else. When you start talking to yourself that way, all that's going to do is cause you to feel worse. And so I want you to start talking to yourself and really listen to the narrative in your mind, and figure out like what are you saying to yourself? Are you being kind to yourself? Maybe if you don't go out, have a glass of wine, take a bath, watch like your favorite show. But whatever you do something. Don't just go off the cusp and just kind of stay home in bed, because what happens at that point, it starts to build, and it, trust me, it could get really bad to a point where you can be in bed for days. And I've talked to so many people that, in their head, like, oh, I got this. I don't need to write it down. I know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to that stupid party. I'm just going to stay at home and play video games or watch a movie or cook some dinner. But then they end up doing nothing. And then next thing you know, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning and they're wondering why they feel like so alone and distant from everyone. Because again, we're social creatures. We need people around, but I mean, there's just so long you can go without human contact. And so even an online group, joining a community, even the on-call empath Facebook group, reaching out to a friend, anything you can do to have that interaction. If you can't be physically with a person, try to reach out, try to, do something that you don't feel like you're just the only person on this planet. So another thing I want you to do, and this is a big one, rethink your expectations. A lot of times we will look on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. You all we see is people posting, and we're scrolling hour after hour, and we see everyone having fun, traveling, laughing with family, and then so that kind of triggers a lot of people that they feel like they're missing out. And I'm here to tell you, you're not missing out, because I would tell you that a lot of those people that are smiling and posing and putting all those pictures up, a lot of them are not happy with their lives. A lot of them are depressed. A lot of them just have anxiety, and they're being forced to go to these events and social, outings. And you don't really know what's going on. So I'm here to tell you, rethink your expectations. Not everyone in the world is having fun just because they're posting a picture. They could be smiling in a picture and then they go home and they can be severely, severely depressed because they feel empty, and granted, like, they're going to all these parties and stuff, these festivities with their family and their friends, but then why are they feeling empty inside? Because they haven't really looked at themselves and figured out what is causing this loneliness, what has led to that, what have we covered up from the past that's coming up now that makes me feel lonely around other people. Because when you're around other people, you're not supposed to feel, you're supposed to have fun, you're supposed to, like, just let loose and be yourself. But unfortunately, with empaths, highly sensitive people, trauma victims, it's just sometimes it's really tough for us to kind of let loose and have fun. Number four, check in with one person. I know that I do check in with all of my clients during the holidays. All I do is send one message and I'm like, are you good? And I'll get a yes or a no. But just the mere fact that you're reaching out to somebody, whether it's a friend, somebody on social media, somebody that a coach, you know, if you guys are my clients, you guys reach out to me and you'll check in telling me that you're either yay or nay, you're feeling good or you're not. So this does something knowing that you have somebody that has your back. And the power of that, just the power of knowing that someone cares about you or somebody reaching out to see, just do a temperature check. That does definitely help because psychologically it's like, okay, how can I be alone when I have this person checking up on me? So if you have that one person you can feel accountable to, reach out to them, tell them, look, I'm going to be alone during this period of time. I'm going to check in with you like at this time every day. It doesn't have to be every day, but I'll give you an example. I have one client that is going through a lot, and I usually check in once a day. And we don't go into detail. It's just like, give me a number, 1 to 10. How good or bad has your day been? They'll give me a number, and then maybe like saying it's mediocre, 5. And then we'll kind of tally it up and see, okay, why are we feeling so down? Ones and twos and threes throughout the week. There's something going on, but then we can gauge it, once they start healing and they start going into their authentic self and they start looking into what's causing the root cause of them feeling so down. Once they get back into a 6, 7, 8, they're giving me these numbers and in the check-ins, then I know that, they're getting better. And so now you don't have to do all that. You could just have one person that you can check in with. And I usually have one or two myself, even being a coach. And I do the same thing for other people as well. So feeling, that other people have your back and you're not alone goes a long way. Number 5, the fifth and final one, understand that you're not alone. I know that I've said this throughout this video, but the truth of the matter is, with the state of the world that it is in, with so many people suffering, you don't have to be traumatized. The world we live in now is basically tearing down people as a whole, the human race. Like, just if you look at everything that's going on in the world, there's suffering across the board. So when you are isolated, you can't really see that. You don't see what's on the other side. All you see is the smiles, the people with, I always use the Lamborghini with the chain and the guy on the car with the girl, and they're just kind of like doing all that, but they're giving all this. They're showing to the world, like, look at, I made it, I'm rich, I'm happy. But what you guys don't know, that the car's rented, the jewelry's rented, the girl is basically a prop that's from a company, and then the guy is basically living with several roommates, barely making rent. And so I want you to keep that in mind. Don't go off or compare yourself with other people, that you should be having fun during the holidays. You should be, out and about and in a jolly mood, because let's face it, if you're an introvert, highly sensitive person that had a hard past in abuse and narcissist relationship, of course you're going to feel the way you do. And I'm here to tell you it's okay to feel the way you do. Um, and you guys are never alone. You can always reach out to me. So I hope you guys got something out of this video. You would be doing me a big favor if you can share and subscribe and like this video. It would really help me out. And also, if you need any coaching, all the links in the bio. Stay tuned for the next episode. I got a couple of high-profile guests that are coming on. You definitely don't want to miss that. And check out the podcast. So with that said, have a good holiday. By you listening to this, this video, at least you're putting in effort. That tells me that you are aware, and that's the first step. Otherwise, you would just not even get to this point. And for you to actually get to this end of this video tells me that you know what's going on. You know what the problem is. Now you just got to execute. Keep moving forward. And with that said, we are out.